You guys, the real reason why Benoit Saint-Denis lost to Dustin Poirier has been revealed. It has been revealed. And obviously, there had to have been a legitimate reason why Benoit Saint-Denis lost to Dustin Poirier, other than the fact that Poirier is better. It couldn't have been that. Because Benoit Saint-Denis was like, he won the first round. And he was winning the first half of the second round. And so obviously, there was this very specific reason why he got caught by Poirier's hands and got KO'd. It's not that Poirier is really skilled. It's not that Poirier's got one of the best boxing, got some of the best boxing in the UFC lightweight division. It's not that Poirier is better and he's been to wars with some of the best people to ever fight on this planet. Nope. It has to do with antibiotics. Benoit Saint-Denis took some antibiotics. From the sounds of it, I think there was a rumor prior to the fight, like this was 2 or 3 days before the fight, I can't find it, but I think it's out there, that he basically had a staph infection. There was a picture showing like the back of his neck and there was something, and he took some antibiotics prior to the fight. And his claim is that those antibiotics impacted his performance in a negative fashion. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I buy that. Do you buy this as an excuse? Let me know in the comments. Frankly, I do not. As much as I think Benoit Saint-Denis is a badass, and as much as I think that he could probably beat a lot of the guys in the top 10, you know, people like Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, they're special in the sense that they'll go through hell just to get a victory, right? And the thing is, if you look back to that fight, right, Benoit Saint-Denis probably won the first round. He was winning the second round, but it was all because of the fact that Poirier kept putting himself in bad positions. Right, he kept jumping that guillotine. Benoit Saint-Denis kept escaping, and then he's on top, you know, throwing some ground and pound, right? And then Poirier would escape, get back up, and try to jump a guillotine again. And some of the things that he said, you know, in post-fight interviews, like, you miss 100% of the guillotines you don't jump, right? And he's never going to stop jumping them. So, like, good for him. That's fine. But the point I'm getting at is, I don't think that Dustin Poirier, I don't think that would have changed the result at all, right? In fact, it could have very well been a more equal fight between the two of them if Poirier hadn't kept jumping those guillotines. It could have been a lot more back and forth. He could have even won the first and second round. Like, Poirier is that good in terms of striking. And I, for one, thought that Saint-Denis was going to win that fight just because of the fact that he is so relentless. His pace is pretty crazy. He is the younger of the two fighters, and Poirier is 35. And so, you know, anytime a fighter turns 35, usually they start to go downhill, right? But yeah, he chalked it up, that bad performance, to the antibiotics that he took. Now, if you've made it this far, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button, it helps the YouTube algorithm and it helps me grow the channel. But the question is, where does Saint-Denis go from here, right? So, you know, I've never heard him made an excuse before. So, on the one hand, like, certainly it could have impacted his performance. And Muhammad Mokaev just tweeted earlier today that he's taking some antibiotics as well, and it's affecting his performance and his, you know, how he feels in the gym and different things like that. So, you know, it very well could have impacted his performance, but I don't know if it would have changed the result all that much, right? Like, maybe he didn't feel like himself in there, and he just willed himself forward. But, like, Poirier's that good. Like, he can find your chin. He can box. He can strike. There's no question about that. Right? If we look at any of his fights with, you know, Chandler, Gaethje, Dan Hooker, basically anyone who isn't like a submission artist, and even Charles Oliveira, like, on the feet, he can hang with anybody for sure, right? So it's one of these things that as much as I want to believe Benoit Saint-Denis, like maybe he wasn't feeling his best at that performance, I don't think it would have changed the result, right? I don't think you would have had a situation where Poirier would have wilted. I don't think you would have had a different outcome in that fight. Because, yeah, like Poirier can find your chin. Poirier can strike with just about anybody, and he is tough, right? He's very tough. But now the question is, where does Benoit Saint-Denis go from here? I've talked about this in a previous video, but I think that I would really like to see him fight someone in the top 10. So, put him against maybe a Dan Hooker, put him against Jalen Turner. That would be Turner's fighting on UFC 300, but put him against Fiziev, right? Those would all be very exciting fights. I think Fiziev would be an absolute banger, actually. In fact, that's what I want. Dana White or any UFC executives who are watching this, if we can get Fiziev versus Benoit Saint-Denis, that is the fight that I want to see. Because both of those guys are heavy hitters. Like both of them will walk through fire to do it. I think that would be a super exciting fight. That would be a banger for the fans. So, but I think Benoit Saint-Denis definitely has championship material. I think he can definitely get back up there. But, some of those guys at the very top, they've been at the top for years. Like Dustin Poirier's been out close to the top for years. Gaethje's been close to the top for years. Because they're that good. They're that skilled fighters. And, I was thinking Saint-Denis was going to win, but whether or not he had been taking antibiotics, I don't know that would have impacted the outcome. But what do you guys think? Where do you think Benoit Saint-Denis goes from here? Do you buy his excuse? Like, I believe him in the sense that he felt like he wasn't at his best if he was taking those antibiotics. But I just don't believe that is the reason he lost. He lost because he was dealing with the diamond. The diamond is phenomenal. Dustin Poirier is phenomenal. Right? And I think he just needs to keep working and work himself back up in the ranks. And I would love to see him versus Fiziev. Comment below if you agree with me, or who do you think he should fight next. But I think Fiziev is that would be the perfect opponent for Benoit Saint-Denis to fight next. But yeah, that's it from me. And this is my last way filming like this. Tomorrow I am out of here and I'm going to be back home. So, yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.